We are live.
Hello everyone, welcome to new episode of WTALKS series. I am Kürşat. I am your co-host with Jean-Marc. Hello, John.
Hi everyone, thanks Kürşat. Great to be here. So yep, I'm Jean-Marc, WTALKS head of R&D. And today we've got a very, very special guest with us, and I'm actually going to steal her line to open up this YouTube show, which is grab a cup of tea, let's chat disability with none other than Lucy Edwards.
Hi. Hello, I love that. Have you got a cuppa, Jean-Marc?
Yeah, of course, I've got a huge one actually.
I love it. I don't actually have one, but that's amazing. Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. And Lucy, first questions first. I mean, to people that don't know you, tell us about yourself. What makes you Lucy?
What makes me Lucy? That's a crazy question, but I love it. I am 24. I am small. I am a Labrador lover. I am a presenter, a journalist, an activist, and a YouTuber. And I am blind. I went blind at age 17. I've got a really rare genetic eye condition called incontinency pigmenti that actually rendered me without any usable vision. And I am the first ever blind Radio 1 presenter. And I'm really bubbly, and I think my friends would describe me as very much a chatty Cathy that doesn't stop chatting, really.
Perfect for the webinars. So what's one interesting fact about yourself, Lucy?
One interesting fact that I would say is I have really got into gardening recently through lockdown. It's really calming. Blind girl gardening through, a controlled way is really cool. I've actually got some raised beds that are sort of a square piece of wood that is raised up with soil in, and I'm growing loads of vegetables, so I'm very systematic with the way I do things with that. It's pretty cool.
What made you go blind gardening, if you don't mind me asking?
It's in my garden, so I've got a bit geeky, Jean-Marc, and I keep googling like how to grow vegetables and what time, growing carrots is it the best time to grow carrots? How long do they grow for? I've got potatoes out there. I've got sweet corn. I've got everything. You might need to come round for a bit of a salad soon. How about that for an offer, eh? And not a coffee, a salad.
No, that's amazing. I have to say though, I'm not sure if it's the same for you, Kürşat, but I absolutely cannot cook as a visually impaired person. So I guess
I love to cook. So, but I'm sure you have. Also such an interesting hobby as well as a visually impaired person. But I really love to cook.
Do you? Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I really love just like easier things. Like I love to chop and have salads, bake potatoes, but I also love like those meals in a box that you can get. You can get those like 3 meals, and they're all pre-chopped vegetables and everything, and proper recipes. And I read the recipe cards with an accessible app that reads to me. And yeah, I'm away. I'm cooking all sorts of stuff like tofu and stir fries, and yeah.
Nice.
I love it.
So I got a bit of a life hack for avoiding cooking. So the family just so happened to open a restaurant. They own a restaurant.
Wow.
And it's like, I was like, Jean-Marc, you're such a liability with cooking that we'll just open a restaurant so you won't have to do it. You won't have to do it.
I love that. That's so funny.
Now,
you
mentioned that you were 24, and you're actually the youngest person that we have had on the show. I'm actually 24 myself. And here's the thing, right?
I don't want to tell my age though.
Kürşat, we won't see you in this discussion, okay? I'm sorry.
Oh.
So here's the thing. We've noticed a bit of a difference because we've done enough of these webinars now to kind of see that there's a difference between the older people in the visually impaired community and the younger people. And granted, this is a very broad generalization, so forgive me to anyone watching at home that thinks, no, Jean-Marc, that's not true. But here's the thing, right? A lot of the older visually impaired people that we've interviewed kind of never really got into visual impairment from a young age. They wanted to do something else. And then they got into it later on when they realized, wait a second, you know, in my tech company, there's not enough work being done on visual impairments. What can we do to fix that? Whereas a lot of the younger visually impaired population tend to be very active. You know, we're like on social media, we try to influence. I mean, yourself, for instance, you were essentially very open about your visual impairment. I try to be open as well. Kirshat, I know that you are too. Why do you think that is?
Why? Well, I think when I first lost my sight, Jean-Marc, I was just scrambling because I acquired my disability at 17, as I said, and I was just scrambling for a platform, a voice, because I felt there was a little diversity, but not true inclusion. And when Blind Girl Does Her Own Makeup went viral, I think I don't know. I think we try to, as that maybe the younger community coming up in the visually impaired space, we want people to hear us. We want people to know our struggles. The advent of technology is amazing, and we know we can get through this way. We can see, you know, things such as Blind Girl Does Her Own Makeup going viral, creating a space to chat about visual impairment in a different way that is accessible for everyone, not just non-sighted people. And I think it will become more mainstream, and we can feel it. 2020, 2021, we're coming. It's a revolution. We want to, as younger VI people, sort of buck the trend almost, and have a bit of a revolution with tech. I mean, WeWalk is, you know, something to be massively proud of, and I think you guys are part of that tech revolution. But without us, you know, saying, hey, look, we can be great engineers, and hey, we can be YouTubers, you know, we wouldn't be visible, so people wouldn't necessarily think we were capable. And I think our capability has been called into question, and still is called into question so often. We don't want it to be anymore, and we show how capable we are with tech, I think.
Exactly. And that's really interesting as well. The things you mentioned, it's like people kind of get surprised sometimes, like, oh, you are capable of that? And that can be, I don't know, I just feel that sometimes a bit condescending. Like, it's so sympathetic instead of being empathetic, which is very different. And actually, go on, Kirsha.
Yeah, also Lucy, you are a YouTuber, and that's why thousands of people watch your videos, etc. And what kind of comments, questions have you got so far? What is maybe the most interesting comments for your videos?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting question, because, you know, several years back in 2014-15, when I first had my viral video, the comments below the videos were, oh, you're such an inspiration, oh, bless her for being able to put on makeup very well, and, you know, or the other side of it was, you know, why can that girl do this? Or, you know, it's so impossible. I know that she's looking at that brush. She must be able to see, almost either in awe of me because I've overcome, I'm an inspiration, or they don't really believe that I can do it because, again, they don't see me as capable. And it's really interesting seeing the evolution of YouTube, and the fact that, you know, my latest video, Blind and Pregnant, back in November, that went viral again. I think it was crazy that I was still seeing a similar vibe in the comment section, that people don't believe that I'm able to be a competent mother. There was comments such as, you know, how are you going to check if your baby's unwell? You won't be able to see if they've, you know, if they're white, as in white as a sheet, if they're really ghostly and they've got a cough or a cold, or, you know, you won't be able to see them being sick or clean up their sick. And it's such a misconception that I believe that we are chipping away at. But I think it's about, as I said, you know, it's diversity out there that we're increasing, and that will eventually lead to true inclusion. But I think when we can get the blind community together as a whole, and we start a bit of a, I don't know, I can see the rumblings of things coming, like the newest UK disability union that I know is on the rise. I think there will be true change, but you know, I'm not upset about those comments anymore, guys. I don't feel a sense of upset or hatred towards the people who comment. I just think, well, I'm here and I'm showing you that I'm capable, confident, and blind, and we're educating, aren't we?
Yes, this is a really good opportunity for visually impaired community to tell ourselves and break the stereotypes, etc. So thank you for doing that for all of us.
Thank you.
You're the voice. It's like, we're visually impaired, but we can do stuff too, guys. Actually, a very funny story literally on that. And I know this will make some of you laugh. We actually had WeWalk posted on Reddit. Like, someone posted a link that said blind engineer makes visually impaired cane for the visually impaired. And the comments were hilarious, granted, but they were also quite shocking. A lot of them are like, "Oh, he didn't do that. He couldn't see engineering. How did he build that? I bet you he didn't even see his own cane." And it's like,
or they were saying that how do they use their smartphones even, you know? So yeah, that's why maybe we shouldn't expect them to know about what is being visually impaired. So that's why these videos and your YouTube channel is really helpful to tell ourselves.
Yeah, and I think we as a VI community wouldn't necessarily expect that these commenters would know everything about visual impairment. But I think there needs to be a revolution to say we're capable with a visual impairment. And I think, I don't care what they necessarily think about me. They can think that I don't necessarily want to put on my makeup, but I want them to know that I'm capable of doing anything that I want to. And I think that is filtering through. And as you say, those comments on Reddit were hilarious. But at least they knew that you guys were there and there was an engineer behind that doing it, even though, you know, maybe we get these comments because they're so shocked and they've never heard of it before, that the more that they hear it and the more that we filter through and the more diversity, the more inclusion. Sorry, I'm harping on a bit of a train here, but I totally get it.
No, it's I totally agree with it. And it's quite funny. Sometimes there's like two types of comments. First one is like kind of shock, which is, how did they do that? But the next one's always like, no, surely they must have seen it. And this is Kürşad. This story is again quite funny. So I was with Gökhan, our other co-founder, in Germany and Austria last October. And it's a very direct culture over there. So every time, you know, I have some sight left, I can still read, sort of move around a bit. But every time I'd read something or sort of pull out my phone, someone would kind of look at me straight point blank in the face and go, "How much can you see?" Like, sort of questioning me as if an interrogation is like, can you actually see that? And I always like endorse an open conversation about visual impairment. I think it's always very important to discuss sort of, you know, like, I can see a bit. Visual impairment is not just you're blind and you're not. But at the same time, I think there has to be some sort of acceptance of, like, you know, there has to be knowledge, but there has to be some compassion and empathy at the same time. Like, yeah, we can use our sight. It's okay for us to do makeup and, you know, to do all sorts of things. So yeah, I'm harking on now, but I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it is about compassion, isn't it? Yeah.
And Lucy, also, I'm curious. You said that you lost your sight at 17. You're 17 years old, right?
Yeah.
So, however, right now you're 24, and we are watching your videos. You are your makeup videos, etc. So it looks you adapted this process, this transition perfectly. So how did it happen? So how did you adapt yourself?
So it was not easy. I'm sitting here today through a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning my face again, because as visually impaired people, you guys know, you know, depth perception is harder, but as humans, we adapt, and naturally, I tried to adapt my makeup bag to suit me now, and it was a form of self-acceptance for me, you know, bridging that gap to make my hobby accessible again, and knowing that, you know, I didn't have to look in a mirror, I didn't need the mirror anymore, I didn't have to grieve that the mirror wasn't there anymore as a young 17-year-old girl. I forced myself to feel empowered about the process again, and it made me think about all of the elements of the process, all of the textures, all of the things I could do, rather than viewing it in a sense that, you know, I didn't have to think of all of the things that I couldn't do about that process, because the beauty industry is such a visual industry, and it doesn't have to be. There are so many perfume counters, you know, foundations. You can walk into a shop, and yes, it's scary because you can't match your own, but if you know the right tips and tricks, show your wrist to the lovely lady or man on the desk, and ask them, you know, match my foundation for me. You can smell it, you can touch it, you can know what your skin texture is and how to match it in different ways, and we can feel empowered in a different way. We don't have to follow the norm, you know, we don't have to see ourselves to do it. I am living proof of that, and I think that's why I wanted to write the Blind Beauty Guide, because my sighted sister Alice spent hours and hours and hours upon hours of audio describing all of these otherwise inaccessible makeup tutorials on YouTube to me, and I thought, right, there has to be something done about this, because I learned it because I have an Alice, but there's other little Lucys out there that don't have a sighted sister, that don't have assistance all the time. You know, let's put it in a text-based format. They can read it whenever they want to, and they can do it, but it is about doing it step by step. It doesn't come overnight, and it took me years to perfect it, but it is doable. And yeah, that maybe is something to note about blindness, that there is ways to adapt things. It is a bit harder, but we are capable, we're ready and willing and able to do these things because we are competent human beings.
Yeah, when I listen your story, I saw also, you know, I watch your videos, etc., and I see you're so happy, and I believe happiness is not the thing which is related with what you have. So if you are happy, if you feel the happiness in your heart, so you can always feel it. So you know, sometimes people think that, okay, I will be so happy if I will get acceptance to this university, or I will be so happy when I buy this car, blah blah. So you know, this is not the real happiness. So real happiness can be felt by heart. So that's why if you feel, if you have this feeling, you can easily adapt. Maybe it's not easy, however you can always find a way to adapt yourself and then keep being happy as well. So yeah, this is the thing that I see in your videos as well. Just I wanted to share with you.
Yeah. Sorry, Jean-Marc, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, I totally agree with you, Lucy, and Kurshat as well. That's a super important message, especially for all our young viewers here that are losing their sight or have lost their sight or are in that sort of delicate phase almost where you're experiencing changes in your life. I mean, we're examples of that. We've all gone through it. I've gone through it. Lucy's gone through it. Kurshat's gone through it. And we can tell you this, like, from deep within our hearts. That transition period is going to suck. There's no question about that. Like, losing your sight is never easy. It's not like we're losing your sight is easy, get over it. Absolutely not. It's tough.
We had our grieving time, didn't we, Jean-Marc? You know, it is horrible at points. I have my bad blind days, and it's okay. Feel that with your whole heart. You have to cry it out. You have to be in touch with your emotions. You know, I do have those days still to this day, and I have counselling to deal with the trauma of going blind overnight, practically, from having that operation that was going to save my sight, and it didn't. And you know, that will be the worst day ever in the history of my life. But I said to myself, if I can live through that day, every single day after it will be great, because I haven't lost Lucy Edwards. I haven't, and I refuse to. Just because I'm seen differently, I'm living in a sighted world that I used to know a lot better, and I was accepted a lot more maybe in the past when I had vision. It doesn't mean I can't accept myself now. And I think it's really interesting what you say with true happiness, because I remember those dark days when I lost my vision, and it was a lack of control. I felt just really it was like a brick, you know, landing on my world. It was so heavy. I was carrying it around with me. Just this grief, and I couldn't do anything but look to tomorrow. I couldn't enjoy today for a good, you know, year. You know, I had to think about, you know, what tomorrow will be good because I'm doing this with someone else, or tomorrow will be good because I'm going on holiday, or tomorrow will be good because, and I did think like that, because I couldn't think any other way, because I was trying to control things. I'd lost control because of nothing that was my fault. And I think as human beings, we want to have control of everything. But when I sat back and I had the ability to do my makeup, the ability to walk with my guide dog, the ability to, you know, have a fulfilling, lovely fiance and marriage eventually, hopefully next year, because I was meant to get married this year. But, you know, when all of these things started to fit into place, and I learned to read and write again, and I started to love my work and journalism and the BBC, the more that you can accept yourself for who you are, and self-acceptance doesn't come overnight.
No, for sure. That's an absolutely massive part of it. It's just accepting yourself. And to all our viewers as well, you know, be it through anything, be it through guide dogs, be it through WeWalk, be it through tech, be it through whatever. Now is everyone's working towards this. We're only making progress in terms of the visual impairment field. Even if you go completely blind, I mean, you lose everything. There will still be a way to read. There will still be a way to write. There will still be the people around you that love you and that care about you. So it's never the end. Even the worst case scenario is never the end, because as you said, it's always going to be better tomorrow. The only way is up when it comes to finally accepting the fact that you've lost your sight, to anyone out there. So that's really important. And we'll also link your YouTube channel below in the link. So I'd like everyone that's going through this, have a look at Lucy's videos. I mean, she puts it perfectly. Super useful, and just they'll make you feel good about yourself. You know, we've been through.
But Jean-Marc, she's not alone in her videos. She has another star in her videos.
Yeah. Exactly, Olga the guide dog, who's a bit of an internet celebrity as well. Tell us about Olga. How did you get her? Just introduce her to people that have not seen her.
My lovely, fluffy daughter, Olga Marie Edwards. I gave her a second.
Is she with you right now?
Oh, I think my fiance took her out because I think she was just sleeping. She's snoring upstairs. Yeah. But no, she's always with me. I am obsessed with her because she is my eyes. She is my beautiful daughter. I got her back when I was 18. I think, you know, initially when I thought of having a guide dog, because I was like, oh no, I'm not using a cane. I'm not having a guide dog. I'm not accepting this. Go away, vision loss. You can go in the bin. My mom and dad were like, come on, Lucy, you can do it. Just get a guide dog. It will be amazing. And obviously the training process takes time, and the matching process, you know, the trainer comes out and they have to assess where you live and how much of a competent owner you are, which, you know, is such an amazing process. But I think it allowed me to comprehend what I was going through. And the trainers were so lovely and helpful. And at the end of the day, Guide Dogs UK are not a governmental funded charity. You know, they fund everything themselves through fundraising. And I just think they're so incredible. I got Olga for 50p, even though her training, she's worth £50,000 is put behind her to make her the dog that she is. She's so clever. I had to basically become a trainer, a dog trainer, overnight. It felt like, anyway. They go through, you as an owner go through 2 weeks to 1 month training process where you are just with this bundle of joy for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are training with her, and it's about those first few days with her, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get her to do anything that I want her to do. I don't understand this. I'm so young. I can't believe that I have to wait for a guide dog to poo before I go to school, walk to sixth form. I was like, oh my gosh, I had so many moments where I was ringing up the trainer, like, I don't know whether I can do this. Like, it's February half term and I just don't know what to do. But all of that was so worth it and more, because I used to get so many headaches and with just mobility wise, and she's trusting a little bundle of joy who's basically has a 2-year-old brain in some respects. Was so hard grabbing that harness for the first time, having your life within a dog. But when you see how amazing these animals are, and at the end of the day, I got her when she was 15 months old. They go through a training process of a year, and then they have that when they're puppy walking and they're learning how to sit at curbs and eat and wait for their food, and then you get them at 15 months to 2 years old, and you're basically a trainer. It's so weird but amazing. I would really recommend it.
I totally appreciate that, and I've actually been lucky enough to meet Olga twice now, and I can totally say Olga is as cool as she is in the videos as in real life. Okay,
she's amazing, isn't she?
I have to confess one thing. Unfortunately, I'm afraid of dogs. So
bless you. Yeah. I promise you, all Olga would do is lick your hand. So much, so licky. But equally, I totally think that's valid too. So hopefully you can meet one day and you can have a nice meeting with her.
Sure. After lockdown, so I will visit our UK office and also would like to meet you as well.
Yeah, that'd be so
meet with the Olga.
Yeah.
Gershad, you can keep your wee walk, okay? Like,
I'll bring some salad. I'll bring some salad that I've grown in my garden. What about that?
Okay. Lucy, what is your future plan? What will we see about your YouTube channel, or maybe in different areas?
Yeah, so I just envision 2020 to be the year of collaboration. I think, as I keep harping on about in this talk, I am so dedicated to not just have diversity. We are striving for inclusion. There is a movement that I can just feel bubbling around me. And I want to make my channel more of a place where people can come and talk about their feelings too. So I've been recently interviewing quite a lot of some amazing people from the UK blind and visually impaired community, just all about their experiences, because I'm not just, I'm just one part of the puzzle, and I only have my own experiences, and I love to learn every single day. So that's how I'm growing my YouTube channel, also with all of my regular content. But yeah, and also I work as a presenter for the BBC. I'm actually freelance, and as I mentioned earlier on in the conversation, I was the first ever Blind Radio 1 presenter, and that was just one of the most amazing experiences of my whole entire life, and I will take that on with me. I know at the moment that there aren't DJ desks that currently are accessible for the visually impaired. So I'm working with BBC engineers. They are being so lovely and accommodating. But as COVID-19 sort of sent a shockwave through the whole world, you know, there's been a few delays to that, but I've been working and being a little beaver behind the scenes, and I'm actually creating my own accessible radio studio in my house. So watch this space. In the next few weeks, the last bits are being delivered just through delays because of COVID, but yeah, I'm planning to stream a lot and get back on the radio very soon, so I'm so excited.
That's amazing. All right, you heard it here first, everyone. Watch this space. Follow Lucy Edwards. We're going to link all the social links below. Amazing channel for you to all watch. It has been such a pleasure, Lucy. In fact, it's been such a great conversation. I have literally not touched my tea, so I need to.
Oh my gosh, disability.
Exactly. So I'm gonna have to finish that. Kurshat, Lucy, thank you so much again. Stay tuned, folks, for our next episode of WTALKS. And yeah, take care, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Bye-bye now.